Pay attention cautiously. Your mouth, your thoughts, your mood, and your cash. 4 forces, 4 guns, 4 traps. Grasp them and you rise untouchable. Fail and you emerge as food for more potent men. The majority damage themselves before the sector ever lays a hand on them. Their mouth runs reckless, spilling secrets, guarantees, and weak spot. Their thoughts drifts, fogged with distraction and poisoned with doubt. Their temper swings, leaving them chained to anger, envy, or depression. And their money, what little they maintain, bleeds away into empty pleasures, addictions, and conceitedness. That is why guys live powerless. They are dominated by means of what they should rule. They're slaves to their own impulses. And the cruel fact, no army, no tyrant, no enemy can ruin a man faster than his personal undisciplined self. But you aren't right here by coincidence. You came to mental thought because you already know softness is deadly. Weak point is a disease and control. Cold, ruthless manipulate is the simplest remedy. The instant you master these 4 mouth, thoughts, mood, cash, you stop being a sufferer of condition. You grow to be the architect of your fate. So mark your initiation. Comment this word proper now. Manage is strength. Write it. Personal it. Breathe it. Control of the thoughts. The second one battlefield is the mind. In case your mouth is the sword, your thoughts is the overall. Without command, the strongest navy is useless. Without discipline, the sharpest mind destroys itself. Most men are prisoners in their personal mind. They drown in overthinking, regrets from the day before today, fantasies approximately the next day. Their minds wander like drunken infantrymen, chasing distractions, obsessions, illusions. A mind without manage is not an asset. It is an executioner. To master your mind, you ought to grow to be bloodless and selective. Choose your thoughts like a ruler chooses his advisors. No longer every idea deserves your time. Not each worry deserves your power. Ask, does this idea build me or does it weaken me? If it weakens, strike it down ruthlessly. Feed your mind with strategy, no longer noise. Have a look at strength. Have a look at history. Have a look at human nature. Fill your head with timeless weapons, no longer fleeting gossip. The person who controls his attention controls his future. You can't stop the hurricane of mind. However, you can command which winds force your ship. Train each day, direct your interest. Defend it like treasure, for the sector is designed to steal it. A Machiavellian thoughts is not high quality. It smiles disciplined, calculating, untouchable. This is your side. If you understand, remark this phrase. My thoughts obeys me. Allow the vulnerable give up to distraction. You may rule your very own head. And when you rule your head, you can rule anything. 3. Control of the mouth. The first battlefield is the mouth. Words aren't just sound. Phrases are forks. Words are guns. Words can crown you king or drag you into the gutter. The weak communicate without end. They leak their plans, their fears, their feelings, their each thought to each person who will pay attention. And each word becomes ammunition for someone else to use in opposition to them. Machiavelli knew this. Silence is approach. A sharp tongue have to be unsheathed handiest while the strike subjects. Manage your mouth, and you benefit a cloak of thriller. Human beings fear what they cannot examine. They recognize the man who does now not provide an explanation for himself, who does no longer waste his breath, who speaks handiest whilst the room ought to concentrate. Communicate much less, and each word gains weight. Communicate carelessly, and your electricity evaporates. Do now not argue with fools. Do now not confess weakness. Do now not reveal the intensity of your ambition until it's far too past due for anybody to forestall you. Alternatively, learn how to ask questions. Permit others disclose themselves. Their arrogance will do the work for you. In moments of anger, seal your mouth. One reckless sentence can spoil alliances, belief, or possibility forever. In moments of triumph, nevertheless seal your mouth. Satisfaction invitations predators. Silence maintains them guessing. Your mouth should be a locked vault. When it opens, it need to be with precision, with reason, with pressure. The lion does no longer roar all day. It roars once and the jungle trembles. If you apprehend this, write it inside the comments right now. My silence is my sword. Permit the sector chatter. Let them bleed their power via endless words. You'll stand none the less, controlled, unreadable till the instant you select to strike. 4. Control of the mood. The 1/3 battlefield is your temper. Emotions are the strings via which most guys are puppeteer. Anger, jealousy, despair, delight. These are the leashes the sector makes use of to pull you in which it desires. If you cannot master your moods, you will usually be someone else's slave. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler ought to appear merciful, devoted, humane, sincere, and religious. However, at the back of the mask, he should be able to the other while essential. This isn't hypocrisy. It's Miles' strategy. Your mood, like your masks, have to be chosen, not dictated. Vulnerable men explode while provoked. They rage, and in that rage, they screen their plans, burn their alliances, and manipulate. Others collapse into disappointment, letting weak point rot their spirit. Some develop drunk on achievement, unaware of the daggers ready within the shadows. All are predictable, and what's predictable can be managed. To end up untouchable, you have to emerge as unshakable. Anger have to be a weapon, not a reflex. Use it rarely and simplest whilst it creates fear or obedience. Disappointment have to be strangled earlier than it poisons your will. Delight must be reduced before it blinds you. Joy ought to be restrained, for pleasure invites complacency. Manage of temper does not imply turning into a cold gadget. It method, turning into the grasp actor. You feel emotion, but making a decision if it's miles proven. You may burn internal, however your face stays calm. You may be tired, but your posture remains sturdy. Your mask is metal. Your temper invisible except you permit it. That is how kings and generals bend guys to their will. They in no way monitor the typhoon interior. They radiate command. They radiate certainty. And certainty enslaves the uncertain. Educate this daily in traffic, in arguments, in setbacks. Hold the mask. Every take a look at is a sharpening stone. Each restraint builds your armor. A person who cannot be provoked cannot be managed. A man who cannot be examined cannot be manipulated. And a man whose temper is his servant turns into grasp of each room he enters. If this resonates, carve it into the comments. I grasp my moods. Let the susceptible howl and wreck. You may be silent, steady, immovable, like iron in a world of clay. 5. Manage of the cash. The 4th battlefield is cash. Maximum men worship it, few control it, and because they worship it, they are dominated by means of it. Money is not merely paper. It's Miles' leverage. It's Miles' freedom. It's far the silent blade that cuts deeper than any sword. Machiavelli understood that fortune favors the prepared. Wealth isn't about indulgence. It's Miles about electricity. It funds your impact, your safety, your independence. It lets in you to stand untouchable at the same time as others bend their knees for scraps. The common guy spends to feel alive. He buys to affect. He wastes to numb the emptiness in his chest. His cash owns him due to the fact his emotions own him. He thinks wealth is evidence of fame, when in reality, wealth is the weapon to relaxed fame. He lives paycheck to paycheck, no longer because he lacks cash, however due to the fact he lacks discipline. You must no longer be this guy. Your cash is your soldier. Every dollar have to march with reason. Every funding have to sharpen your energy. Do now not waste resources on arrogance, on tendencies, on fleeting pleasures. Spend with method, now not impulse. Build reserves, no longer debts. The man with coins in hand controls the person who owes. And in a world of slaves to consumerism, the only who resists will become king. Manipulate of cash is not greed, it is foresight. It smiles the expertise that freedom can't exist without economic manipulate. The man who cannot walk far from any scenario isn't always free. A person who relies upon another for survival isn't always safe. And a man who flaunts his wealth recklessly invitations predators to ceremonial dinner. Discover ways to seem modest at the same time as building in silence. Let them see an easy guy at the same time as in truth you are constructing a citadel of sources. Machiavelli suggested rulers to avoid hatred and envy. Flaunted wealth breeds each, hidden wealth breeds invincibility. Your money must serve your vision, now not your ego. Use it to buy time, to buy expertise, to buy opportunities. Use it to defend your legacy, to shield in opposition to betrayal, to out-survive storms. The person who controls his cash never bows. He makes a decision when to strike due to the fact he can afford to wait. Take into account this, true wealth is not shown. It's far felt in the strength to say no, to walk away, to stay untouchable. If this lesson speaks to you, stamp it into the remarks. My cash is my navy. Repeat it, believe it. Subject each greenback till it fights for you. Manage your money, and you manage your lifestyles. Fail to control it, and you may forever be a pawn in someone else's sport. 6. The artwork of masks and appearances. Electricity is by no means just about what you're. It's miles about what you seem like. Recognize this. Truth is negotiable, but perception is regulation. The masks you put on will decide how the sector treats you. Machiavelli taught that a ruler does now not want to be merciful, faithful, humane, sincere, or non-secular. He best wishes to appear that manner. Why? Because humans choose with their eyes, not with their motive. They are attracted to surfaces, not substance. The masks is the weapon that blinds them, distracts them, manipulates them. The susceptible scoff at mask. They preach authenticity as if showing every flaw and emotion is noble. Quantity, it is foolish. The man who exposes his raw self to the sector invites assault. He's predictable, susceptible, smooth to dismantle. A man without a mask is a man without armor. Your masks ought to be crafted with precision. In public, you mission what serves your purpose. In private, you remain who you clearly are. The two are not the equal. The mask protects the truth and the fact, your actual goals, your aims, your ruthlessness stays hidden inside the vault of your thoughts. Whilst wanted, you can appear humble to disarm envy, appear type to win loyalty, seem innocent to lower defenses, or seem ruthless to create worry. The energy isn't in being all of these things. It's far in selecting which masks to put on and when. The masks additionally protects your weaknesses. If you are uncertain, you by no means display it. In case you are harm, you by no means reveal it. In case you are war, note, your posture does not wreck. Humans observe fact, no longer confusion. In case you can't command your emotions, then command your masks. For the mask turns into the reality others trust. Even allies need to see handiest what you decide. Why? Due to the fact alliances shift. Contemporary friend may be tomorrow's rival. The much less they understand, the safer you remain. Let them underestimate you. Let them assume they have examined you. Meanwhile, you are constantly 3 actions beforehand. However, do not mistake masks for lie. A mask is not approximately deception. It is about manage. You decide what face to reveal the sector, making a decision how they interpret you. This is proper freedom. That is actual strength. Consider history's most foxy leaders. They all wore masks. Caesar regarded as a servant of Rome while plotting for dominion. Napoleon appeared humble at the same time as calculating conquest. Every tremendous ruler, each master strategist understood that power flows not just from the sword, but from the performance. You too should end up a performer. The degree is lifestyles. The target audience is absolutely everyone around you, and your mask is the function you pick out to play. The person who refuses the stage is forgotten. The man who plays it properly will become legend. Teach yourself in every interaction. Ask what mask serves me here, what mask disarms, what mask evokes, what mask intimidates, then wear it until it will become 2D nature. By no means overlook, you cannot manipulate how human beings experience, but you could manipulate what they see, and what they see will become their reality. If this moves you, seal it in the feedback. My masks is my weapon. Write it so that you don't forget it. Let others wander naked in an international of daggers. You may stroll armored in illusion, untouchable, unreadable, undeniable. 7. The bloodless psychology of electricity. Power isn't always given, it's far taken. And to take it, you need to apprehend the psychology that governs humans. Now, not the surface psychology, the grins, the pleasantries, the well-mannered words, range. I am speaking of the darkish undercurrent, the brutal truths human beings are too weak to admit. That is the terrain of bloodless psychology. Here is the primary regulation. Human beings are pushed by using worry more than love. Machiavelli himself declared, "It's miles more secure to be feared than cherished." Why? Because love is fragile, inconsistent, emotional. It fades with moods. Worry, however, is regular. Fear creates barriers. Worry guarantees recognize even when loyalty fails. To wield power, you need to not chase affection. You need to radiate a presence that needs calculation. If I move this guy, I'm able to pay. The second one law, people are egocentric. Each motion, regardless of how noble it seems, serves an hobby. Understand this and you will never be amazed. Appeals to morality or fairness are illusions. The robust manage these illusions to control the herd. When you negotiate, whilst you convince, while you command, always ask, what does this character need? How am I able to make their preference serve me? The 0:33 regulation, human beings agree with appearances over truth. They might rather be lied to superbly than confronted with harsh truth. That is why masks matter. That is why perception matters. Fact is heavy, but phantasm is seductive. A professional participant of strength does no longer argue truth. He paints it. He makes human beings see what he wishes them to peer, and once they believe, their actions observe. The 4th regulation, humans are predictable whilst emotional. Rage, jealousy, greed, lust, these are the levers that puppeteer the hundreds. If you could trigger emotion, you could manage conduct. If you can stay unemotional at the same time as others burn with feeling, you will continually hold the excessive floor. Bloodless psychology method, getting to know your own impulses, even as exploiting theirs. The 5th regulation, loyalty is uncommon and often transient. People shift with advantage. Allies these days might also betray the following day if the wind modifications. By no means vicinity blind religion in loyalty. Count on betrayal. Put together for it and lay out systems that make betrayal high. Priced. Keep human beings depending on you and their loyalty will endure. The 6th regulation, weakness invites assault. Within the wild, predators strike at the wounded. In society, the equal principle holds. Show too much vulnerability and vultures will circle. This doesn't mean you can't ever fail. It means your screw-ups must never appear to be weak point. Even in loss, you should challenge manage. The instant human beings experience you are breakable, they will test the cracks. The 7th regulation. Manipulation is neither precise nor evil. It is nature. Each commercial manipulates. Each politician manipulates. Each dating at a few degree manipulates. The query isn't always whether you may control, however, whether or not you will do so consciously or be manipulated yourself. Cold psychology demands awareness. You either play the game or you are played. And right here lies the heart of Machiavellian questioning. Energy is about manipulate of perception of assets of people of yourself. However, notably, it is approximately manipulate of reality. To others, the world may additionally appear chaotic. To you, it ought to be clay, formed by your will. Do not confuse cold psychology with cruelty. It isn't always about unnecessary damage. It is approximately approach. A ruthless chief does not waste energy on petty malice. He chooses while to strike and while to live still. His cruelty is precise, now not sloppy. His mercy is calculated, now not naive. He acts not from impulse, but from outcome. Believe the electricity of turning into such a man. Person who can't be provoked, who can't be deceived, who can't be damaged. A man who sees via others, whilst last unreadable himself. A person who plays the sport of strength with a relaxed, consistent hand, while the rest flail in emotion and phantasm. That's what cold psychology forges. When you have observed this a long way, etch it inside the comments. I see through the game. Claim it, because once you see, you can never unsee. And when you understand you are now not a pawn, you are the only moving the portions. 8. The subject of isolation and method. Power calls for clarity. And clarity is impossible in case you are drowning in noise, in endless chatter, in the constant pull of susceptible men and weaker distractions. This is why every guy who seeks to turn out to be untouchable need to master isolation. Now, not loneliness, not withdrawal, however disciplined strategic isolation. Apprehend this. The general public fear being on my own because solitude forces them to face themselves. And for plenty, what they see is weak spot. They might rather conceal in crowds,